Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk. I did it.
You got it.
I did it
Both
with
got
my
it.
left hand.
Got to switch it up sometimes.
I pushed the button with my left hand in case there's any dirty people out there. Taylor. I'm name calling.
Are there certain things that you intentionally do opposite-handed?
No.
I
Sometimes.
can't think.
Maybe. I like to switch it up. I like to be able to do most stuff with both hands.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't necessarily think there's anything I intentionally do that way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in baseball you have to use both hands with throwing and catching, so I'm used to using
Right.
my left to catch. But yeah, there's nothing I try to balance it out
I
generally that I can
I
think of
golf
offhand. But
left-handed. I golf left-handed, and I hit left-handed in baseball.
oh, really?
And I'm left eye dominant, so I shoot left-handed as well. I
Okay.
think
I just learned that there was an eye dominance thing. I didn't know that was a thing
yeah.
until I was at Nsika and Rebecca Ikiskara was like, "Oh yeah, you have a dominant eye," and then she was like doing the trick with like putting your fingers out and like look at something in the distance and like close one eye and close the other eye and see like which one is jumping more and
So the way that I've always learned to do it is you put a triangle out in front of you with your hands and you look straight through it, and whichever eye you come back to is your dominant eye.
okay.
What's your dominant
Yeah.
eye?
My right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was like an issue when I went. Keep in mind that I grew up in Colorado. When I went through hunter's safety, I I
Hunter
was
safety?
yes. When I went through hunter's safety, I was, and you go to the shooting range at the end. I was right-handed but left eye dominant, and so I couldn't actually close my right eye very easily, or no, my left eye
Oh.
very easily.
That's not a very natural pose to be right hand dominant and left eye yeah,
Right.
right
So
hand
you have
dominant,
to
left
you
eye dominant because you're supposed to keep the dominant eye in the back, I'm guessing, right?
right. So you're supposed to. So you either have to shoot left-handed or cover up the eye that's not dominant
Wow.
or that is dominant. I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. When did you go to hunter safety?
I don't know. I was like 12.
Oh, really? I never even knew that was a thing. I mean, besides when people get firearms, they take safety, but I didn't know that was a kid activity.
It is in
Is that part of like a
Colorado.
Boy Scouts or something?
No, it's
Is
just
that like
part
a
of.
kid camp activity thing?
No, that's just my father felt it necessary for us all to know how to shoot a gun.
I mean,
I
it
mean,
probably teaches you to respect
it
the
is
power
very.
and stuff.
I
I
will
would
say
think.
that. I mean,
I would think that would be a
I've
good thing
lost
to know.
all of that, but I do appreciate that. Like my brother is a big into guns, and he is so stinking safe when he shoots, and obviously that's the way it should be with everybody, but it's not, and so
Yeah,
it's definitely taught me to. Like my family's extremely careful with their guns, so it's definitely taught me to respect
that's smart.
firearms.
If
So
you're gonna have it, be safe about it. So.
yeah, I don't have one though, but yeah, I'm not emotionally in a place to. I said this on the internet once. I was like, I'm not really emotionally in a place to kill somebody right now, so I think I'll pass.
Emotionally in a place.
I'm not in my opinion. No, I don't want to get too political. I'm not going to, but in my opinion, if you're gonna own a gun, you better be prepared to shoot somebody. If you need to, if you're buying the gun for safety reasons, And I
Yeah.
personally, I don't think I have the emotional capacity to do that. So I'm out. I'm out.
Well, that sounds like a very reasoned argument, or just reason behind it, rather than just saying it seems cool or what
Yeah.
whatever other reasons people have.
And plus, I live in a van. It would not be great. like,
I was going to ask you, had you thought about it more since you were more vulnerable, I would say, than
yeah.
being elsewhere?
I think that like my brother really wants me to get a gun for my van. First of all, there's some issues with. Look at us going into gun situations. But
it's
first
probably
of all,
weird being in your residence, but also in your car, and then there's concealed
right.
carry. It's different per state, and you're traveling.
Exactly. So you've got a lot of different laws. I think there is one law that says that if you do live in a vehicle or a moving vehicle, you're exempt from certain things. But I don't really want to get into that. I don't have the money to buy one. I would want to go to shooting ranges like frequently if I did have one. And obviously it would be like a pistol, like, like not a pistol, but like just a handgun. But yeah, I don't know. I think that bear spray works pretty well. So like that works just as good.
I've never had like the pepper spray and stuff. Like Rachel's had some of those, and I'm just curious how much it sprays or how far it sprays. Honestly, I've never even sprayed a fire extinguisher. I was talking with my father-in-law about that over the weekend, and we were talking. It was like it, you're supposed to check expirations and stuff, and I've honestly never even shot a fire extinguisher.
You're supposed to get a fire extinguisher. You're supposed to get a fire extinguisher every year, once a year. So
yeah, that doesn't happen.
If you have one that's under your sink, go get a new one.
We have one in our pantry, but
because
I was like, can we take it like near the expiration and just try spraying it outside, just to get a feel for like what to expect?
Yeah, you should. You should spray it into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would hate to have it need it and not be able to use it because it's.
Honestly, what I think is almost more important than a fire extinguisher in a kitchen, at least, is a bag of baking soda. So
yeah, we have some boxes of that stuff.
Well, when the next time you go to Costco, you should get like a 5-gallon I think it's like a 5-pound bag.
We have a bunch for the soda kiln.
Oh, okay, good. But you should always have it accessible in your kitchen because that's how you put out a grease fire and any type of fire in a pan. So,
have you seen those new blankets that people?
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Those are so cool. Like they have a blanket that you can just put right over the fire. It's just fucking wild.
I'm like, how much of this is a gimmick? But I feel like with the risk of fires, that's less gimmicky.
No, I think they're real. They're real.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it takes all the oxygen out. So It's like, yeah, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, that's what Kevin was saying. He's like, yeah, that would save your mess too if you're not spraying it all over the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah. Was Kevin a firefighter? I forget.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he was. Okay. Yeah.
And Kevin is Rachel's dad.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, yeah.
That's Kevin has the weirdest name I've ever heard. I'm going to be completely honest. And I felt that way for a long time.
And you know what? He doesn't have a middle name either.
Yeah, that's weird.
He's got a weird first name, Kevin, and he doesn't have a middle name.
Wild.
Just straight oddball. But I think his brother does.
So what is his parents were like, I think we'll pass.
I don't know how they picked the name, actually. I can't remember. I feel like there was talk about this because we were talking about how Rachel got her name and how her brother Stefan got his name.
Is it Stephen?
Stefan.
Okay.
Stefan, yeah. So, yeah, weird names.
Okay.
What else is new over there? What are you all taped up over there? Are you? I saw
Dude,
you had
la-
strapped. You're strapped everywhere there with
yeah,
the
I'm strapped.
compression tape.
Last night, I had one of the worst nights as far as my, like, carpal tunnel is concerned. I, like, woke up in pain so many times. Like, my arms were falling asleep. I couldn't even, they hurt even, like, by my side down on the sides of me. Like, if I had my arms straight down. And I hadn't been wearing the compression tape for a while. I wore it a little bit, but, it's just like, I was like, maybe it's fine. It is not fine. It is not fine. And
Is it? Are you? Do you like sleep on your arms and stuff generally, like on your side with your arm out, or?
I sleep on my stomach, and that's the issue. Is that I sleep on my stomach with my arm, like, I like crinkled up under my face. So.
Oh, under your body, and your weight is on top of them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I've been trying so hard. I can't sleep on my back because it throws my back out. I don't know why. And I can't. And I've been trying to sleep, like, on my side, or, like, at least sleeping for the like, trying to sleep on my back. But every time it just sucks. And,
yeah, when you're accustomed to one thing, you can't get a good night's sleep unless you're sleeping on your front.
Yeah.
Then it's
and
just
so
like.
I'll, like, sleep on my stomach, but, like, put my arms to my sides. And that's been hard. It's just been tough, man.
Feels like you're planking.
It's so hard, like, because at that point you're, like, pushing your head forward in a weird way, and you don't have anything to lean on.
Yeah. Well, you're probably your neck like in your neck is probably like flexed up.
Yeah.
Or it's like turned to the side. Like it doesn't seem to go to your neck. I don't.
It's so weird, and so, like, sleeping has been really rough, and so I finally got an appointment for a massage, so we're gonna see how that helps. And I told her that, like, I have issues with that stuff, and then I'm gonna get an appointment for an acupuncture appointment because. So everybody's like, why don't you go to the doctors? Well, here's the thing. Before you guys all cuss me out over the internet, I cannot go to a doctor in Utah and have it covered. So I have to wait until I'm near Tennessee, and I can go in Tennessee because that's my home base because I have state insurance. So
because everything's out of network. Okay.
Yeah. So
wow, I gotcha.
Believe you me, I will be headed to the doctor, and I will be trying to figure it out. That is in the plan.
Have you gone to acupuncturist before?
I haven't, so I want to try that before. But yeah, so I do care about my wrists a fair amount more than my teeth, apparently. So,
oh, people tell you about your wrists?
Well, I mean, like, I'll go to the doctor for my wrists, but I also have health insurance, and I don't have teeth insurance. So, because God forbid they be part of your health.
Right.
God forbid.
Your teeth are nice to have, I guess,
They're nice. They're not necessary, though. But I'm making earrings right now. I have a show in a week and a half I'm excited about. I got 2 ear piercings today that hurt an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry you have to wear the headphones.
I might actually just wear it on one ear. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
That works a lot better. And I'm really excited about them. I got my conch pierced, which this was not the plan, okay? She needed
conch?
Yes. She needed models for certain piercings, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll do the midi, which is like right above the lobe, like in the middle." Are you looking up the conch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna send you a picture, but that works too. And
is it the little nubbin?
No, it's inside. It's like inside.
Oh,
Look
fuck.
at me. Yeah, right here. So I got there, and I mean, if you're surprised at all, I was like, So, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. And she was like, really? And I was like, yep, you can do whatever you want. And you can choose which ear you want it on, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, okay. And she's like, do you want to know anything? And I was like, I don't really care. And so
Is it going to hurt?
well, I knew it was going to hurt. So they did the whole thing without me knowing, not even like what piercings they were putting in. And I got to see at the end, and it was cool. It was a cool little fun thing, you know.
So they show an inner conch and an outer conch.
What's an outer conch?
It looks like the outer conch is like a loop, but it's kind of like...
Oh.
It looks like it's more horizontal with your ear canal, sort of.
Okay. So I guess the conch, if you can describe it, is the inner part. Like, if you were going to stick your finger into your ear, like to get wax out or whatever, it's that part. If you like moved your finger just into the main ear, that's where it is. Was that a good description?
It's kind of the most sunken part of the outer ear, it seems like.
Just right above your earlobe, but on the inside, not on the outer side. Yeah.
Ooh.
Did it hurt like a bitch? Yes. It hurt a lot, because that was the second one that she did, and it hurt a lot.
Dang.
So, the first one hurt a little bit, and the second one hurt an enormously more amount. But
so it's on each ear, so you weren't pulling the earphone off one ear.
It's only on this ear.
They're both in the same ear?
Yeah, it's only on the right ear. So.
Damn.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yep.
Dang. So what are you working on over there? Are you doing fidget stones?
No, I'm doing discs, earring discs.
Discs. Okay.
I'm going to try with these ones. I'm going to try to, I'm not cleaning up the sides at all, which is not what I normally do. Normally I clean up the sides a little bit. But I'm going to try to not clean up the sides and throw them into the rock tumbler and see if that'll do the work for me at Bisque. So that's the goal.
Okay. I had a little short back and forth with Heidi about... she asked me, what do you do with your trimmings from your Sgraffito pieces?
Yeah.
And we're kind of spitballing it. And essentially, I was saying, I don't want to do something that's going to take a ton of time away from things I would rather be doing. So,
right.
I think we might have come up with a solution.
Ooh, do tell.
It was kind of related to what you were doing with your crushed pieces, as well as what Jessica was doing with her crushed pieces for her donuts. So I think what I'm going to do is crush it to small bits and then bisque fire it. And then take the bisque pieces and wedge it into pots.
So grog.
And
use it as
throw
grog.
with it. So basically just make it grog.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the trimmings are predominantly whatever clay body it is. I do split it out by white clay, speckled clay. So...
No, that'll be cool. And,
that's
what
cool.
you could do is put them through different sizes of sieves, so you could have it be all the same size.
Yeah, which is kind of what Jessica's...
Yeah.
Is it frit? Or what do they... They don't call it frit.
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember the stuff that she got.
I know it's Chris Alvashier's company, but I can't remember much on that.
Because it's essentially colored porcelain that's broken down and...
Yeah, it's like colored grog.
So, if I'm making that into grog, would you just bisque fire it, or would you take it all the way up to cone 6 and then put it in clay?
I would try it with bisque first. I would try it with bisque.
I mean, there's no harm in just going to bisque and then...
I think that bisque would hurt less, and it would also break up a little bit more, so it gives you a little bit more variety. You know?
Break up more? What do you mean?
Like, while you're throwing it, it might break a little bit, so it might give you some variety in size.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of just, early on when I try it, to just do it with, shot glasses.
Yeah.
Because it's not... I would get more tests out of it that way, as well as if there's issues with a pot, it's not going to like rip apart a sidewall or something like that. So
Right.
I think I'm going to try that out. That seems manageable and sounds kind of fun. I mean, I've done little bits sprinkled onto slabs and stuff, but it's just weird because it's already bone dry, and I'm like, adding bone dry clay to wet clay just doesn't really work.
Yeah,
It just
strange.
falls off. So I'm guessing your confetti stuff, it's just dried underglaze though, right?
It's just dry underglaze, and I think that if it was bisqued underglaze, it probably wouldn't act the same. Because what's nice, if you get it thin enough, like I painted it on some what did I paint it on? I painted it on some saran wrap, and it got so thin that when I like put it on the piece and the clay was really wet, it just like became underglaze on the piece. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It kind of like a newsprint transfer or something like that.
Exactly. And so it was really, really nice that way. So always learning to
interesting
figure out the best way.
So yeah, we'll give it a go. I essentially have 5 gallons of white clay carvings
that are all different colors.
Cat litter bucket in all different colors.
Oh my god.
And then the speckle clay, I have maybe 3 gallons worth of speckle clay, Jesus. All different colors.
So much.
And I did sort out my black trimmings because that's a slip clay body of white clay and speckle clay, and then I have like blue ones that are split out. So I do have some different colors, but
yeah,
the majority of it is just all the colors mixed together.
Yeah,
which is fine. I don't want it too complex. So what else is going on? I'm going on vacation tomorrow.
Whee!
We're going to Asheville, North Carolina with myself, Rachel, her parents, her brother, sister-in-law, and their 3 girls.
That is so exciting. You guys haven't done a trip with them almost ever.
No, I think I'm expecting it to be a big undertaking because there's children, but maybe it's not going to be as bad as I expect.
Are they pretty well behaved?
I knew you were going to ask this, and I don't honestly know. I want to say it's like 852 or 853.
Okay.
But I don't think...
Are you guys driving?
The youngest one is 3. Yeah.
Okay.
We're driving separately, though.
Oh, okay. Then you're going to be fine.
The family is coming in one vehicle from Louisville. My in-laws are coming from Louisville in their vehicle, and then we're going in our vehicle. So
you'll be absolutely fine. The thing that you would want to worry about the most, or like be concerned about the most, is the drive. The drive is rough, but if the kids can be like entertained by something, or it depends on what kind of kids they are, you know, like
whether they just watch things or
I mean, like watching things is one thing, but like then when you turn it off, the kid might give a tantrum. Are they gonna
freak out, or are they just gonna?
That's the issue. Like
sleep
if we had gone to Disney and not even given the kids an option for any electronics, they would have been fine. But since we did give them Bluey, once we turned it off, it was not okay. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would have been fine without any of that? What would they have done?
The 2-year-old probably wouldn't have been fine. Emmy can do anything. She will just make up stories in her brain, and she'll just talk to herself and like make an entire world and universe in her 2 square feet of space. And
that's the oldest one, I'm guessing, right?
No, that's the middle one. And Paige can read for years. And she's the oldest. So, yeah, I mean, like, kids have things to do.
Yeah.
If you know.
And, I mean, there's plans for other stuff that's adult related too. So, like, when we get there, we're gonna go to a Sierra Nevada tour, and
cool.
So it's not and it helps that we have different vehicles too. So if we need, if we want to go off and do something, like Rachel wants to go to Tiki Bar, so we'll go to one of those one night.
Like absolute cake.
And you know, I guess kids going to bed early does help, because then it's like, hey, they're done.
And like just take some board games and you play games, you
know. Yeah, there's games and stuff there, so that should be good.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. We're doing that. I'm delivering a wholesale order in Moorhead on the way there. So
nice.
happy to get my second wholesale completed. I still got one other one that's a logo mug order with decals that I'm working on. I just threw some pots. I need to put handles on them and get the decals from Isaac when I go visit him soon.
Did I ever say that I think I did, but I want to reiterate that my wholesale order made it to Indiana in one piece and none of the mugs broke.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Did you share some about worrying that it wouldn't make it, or the box packing situation, or what?
I don't think so, but the box was 50 pounds and it was 3 feet by 2 feet.
Oh my gosh.
It was huge. Yeah.
30 mugs?
32.
32, okay.
Yep.
Mine's a 28 mug order, but it's going to Louisville, so I'll drive it. It's not a big deal. I would not want to ship that much.
Well, and this was 32 20-ounce mugs, by the way. So it wasn't like 16
yeah, those
ounce.
are big boys.
They were Steins.
That's why it was so big.
Yeah.
How did you just straight up decide I'm going to do one box for it all? Or were you teetering about using a couple boxes and splitting it, or?
So I don't know if I don't know. I'm going to be a little cryptic on how I package them, but I used, those triangle boxes that you can ship posters in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I found a supplier for those, and I got 20 of them, and then I put 3 mugs in each one. They fit like exactly, and so the handle, the triangle
lengthwise,
the triangle fit like the handle really nice, and then I put 3 mugs in each one, and so I had 12, and then I put all 12 into the box, triangled up.
Okay. Did you know that they were going to fit perfectly?
No clue. Yep.
Wow.
I just guessed that one. So
nice how it just worked out like that, huh?
Yep, that was great. That was a real win on my part.
I would suspect it wasn't difficult to find a box that fit that, because you're in a studio that has probably a lot of big boxes and Biscuit coming in there and stuff like that.
Like Joe had gotten an Amazon order that was like in this giant box, and he hadn't opened it, and I texted him and was like, "Can I have that box, please? I want that box." And the box, it's an Amazon box, so it's not like the best in the best
super
shape.
Thick, yeah.
So I put extra boxes like around it to make it thicker, essentially, on the inside. And then I put paper tape on every single corner. I covered that shit like... Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've gone the route of just putting extra... I think I've taken the free USPS boxes before and shoved them down the sidewalls so that I basically just pad it on the inside edge.
Yeah.
But the corners, like you said, those are probably pretty vulnerable if you don't reinforce them more.
Yeah. I was pretty happy that they arrived in one piece. Also, what was I going to say? I can't remember. Nope, lost it.
So they arrived safely. That's good.
They arrived safely. Yep.
Sweet.
All right. Well, we're actually, not that you can tell by our intro, but we're actually trying to have a short episode today.
I feel like we're kind of on time. 30 minutes? I don't know.
30 minutes. We'll see. Anyway, so first... we should talk about... Oh, wait, no. First, we should do our question. And then we should talk about our exciting news about L&L kilns.
Yeah. So the first question... Actually, this came up when I was asking for recommendations or ideas for our NCCA talk. Talking about resources for your business. And somebody brought up... Dirt Boy Ceramics brought up... they just said taxes / keeping track of income and expenses. So this could be interpreted as sales tax. This could just be talking about tax time in general and how to make sure that you're up to speed and like prepared by tracking everything that you can deduct and all that stuff for Schedule C. Not exactly sure, but I took it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you keep track of that for yourself these
Okay,
days?
so
Or in the past, what have you used as well?
I do a two-part system technically. So I have Hurdler, HURDLR, I think, and I use that as my tracking my mileage and tracking my expenses and overall income. So like for the end of the year income. But I use a spreadsheet that I've made for my sales taxes at the end of the month every month. So I made a spreadsheet that I can input my Etsy, my Square, my wholesale, and it calculates everything. Well, it doesn't calculate it, but it like tells me what I need to deduct, what parts need to be deducted, what parts is the total sales. Like Indiana, the way that you put in your sales tax, it's like, but I won't be doing Indiana sales tax from now on, but I'll be doing Tennessee. But I actually don't know, but I'm trying to figure that out.
But your Etsy, you did you mean to include Etsy in there? Because Etsy will collect and remit the taxes on their side.
But it still needs to know how many sales that I made. So what I do is I still put in the Etsy sales, but then that's deducted out of the total sales that I need to actually pay the sales tax for. So.
Oh, okay.
So, So like I use that every month, and then I have like a yearly one that I use, and typically those need to match up. But Hurdler is my main one for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And that's that's one of those typical where it syncs with your bank account and it monitors that, and then that's how it determines how to categorize items. And
and it tracks like how many miles you're taking because it like moves with you, and
it tracks your position at all times.
Just like Google and your phone, like
everything else.
Yeah. But yeah, so it tracks you at all times, and then you basically go in and you're like, no, that was a personal trip, that was a business trip, that was flying, So.
Do you have to reconcile that? Do you have to go in Hurdler and look it up every month or something like that?
Just to
make sure that
it's make it go the right way. Yeah, it's like a swipe system. So you go in and you say like business, personal, business, personal. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
It is nice.
And you pay for that, or that's free?
I pay $100 a month or $100 a year for that.
$100 a year. That seems reasonable.
I feel like it's very reasonable. And if anybody wants to use it, please ask me.
You have a referral code?
I think I have a referral code. So
nice. Do it. Okay, so for my side of things, because I'm complicated, or just because I started with the good old spreadsheet and then it evolved from there. So I use a homegrown system that I actually have been teaching to people for a while. If you take my bookkeeping workshops, you know what I'm talking about. It's essentially a combination of Google Sheets and Google Forms that work together. So let's say I go spend money at Lowe's, I get a receipt. I will go to my form that I created for expenses, and I'll fill out the date, where I went, what I spent, what it was for, and then the category of what it relates to, and those categories are built from the Schedule C. I submit it, and it lands in my master list, my master spreadsheet. And that master spreadsheet has my expenses, fees, income, all of that stuff in there. Same way for income. The only other difference is there's other criteria that I care about, whether, is it from a certain source, like a wholesale? Is it a gallery? Is it a consignment check? Is it a show? Is it a commission? Things like that. And then it'll do some analytics for me to show me where my different income sources are coming from and how I'm doing month to month, how that compares to the previous year, month to month, as well as quarterly. and it helps me kind of gauge how I'm doing. So the whole thing has been built by me, for me, and I started sharing it the last couple of years to people through those workshops. You don't have to pay anything for it to like host it on Google Maps and Google Forms. I do charge people to take the workshop, which is historically it's been about $60 for the workshop. But yeah, I don't pay anything to manage all of that. It's my time, I guess, that's invested here. And I'm very meticulous with it. So, you know, if you're not somebody that's on top of your income and expenses every time you do a show or every time you get a receipt and all that stuff, it's not as you're gonna miss things. So
yeah, Hurdler's better for you.
Hurdler, I've heard.
Wix is not Wix.
Rebecca Icaskara has mentioned Wave.
Wave, that's what it is.
Wave app. I don't know if it's called Wave app or if it's just Wave and it is an app, but that's what she uses. I think it's free. I think it syncs with your bank account. But that's what I've been using. That's what I like to use. In the sales tax side of things, so when I do log my income, I do have a question that asks, is it Kentucky sales tax collected or Ohio or Indiana, depending on what events I'm doing, and I officially like collected it. So I do mark those items as taxable.
Yeah.
And then it'll calculate those different states quarterly, because all of mine I report them quarterly or twice a year. Indiana was one that was once a month, but
Indiana's a monthly situation, but honestly, I don't
actually
mind
Indiana,
monthly.
they just changed mine because I was filing it so infrequently that they only require me to do it once a year. So
Oh, that's nice.
I guess just based on my history of the last 2 years.
So did you buy a business license in Indiana?
Yeah, I do have a transient vendor ID for Indiana.
Okay.
And then they immediately were like, hey, you got to do this monthly. And I was, I did have a calendar reminder, so I made sure to do it. But I don't know most states, but I would say generally you're probably going to be doing it quarterly, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the average is.
Like Washington it depended on your income. If you
how much you were owing on a regular basis.
Yeah, if you hit a certain amount, then...
Yeah, so that's the way I do it. I file the sales tax and those, estimated payments and everything like that for income tax. I do that all myself. I don't have a bookkeeper or somebody that pays that stuff for me or accountant that's doing that stuff. I do have somebody that preps my taxes, but, it makes it easy to hand over all of that information, which I just handed over last week or earlier this week for the taxes for this year.
Yeah.
Getting close on the tax time, but it was way easier for me to just write out all the different categories that way. So yeah, that's what I do.
Works out.
It works for me.
Yeah. If you're terrible at this and you feel like you need a bookkeeper, get one. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have complicated ones too.
Did you has it shifted over time when you started? I mean, when I started, I was just doing straight up spreadsheet and just logging it individually.
I've always done it either on QuickBooks, something else, or Hurdler.
Okay.
I went from
so
QuickBooks
you just paid
to
for
Hurdler.
QuickBooks when you started.
Yeah. Because I already knew how to use QuickBooks, and it's hard to know. QuickBooks is not an intuitive, which is hilarious because it's owned by Intuit, but it's not intuitive.
I think did Intuit buy them?
I think so, yeah.
A few years back. Did you see that did you hear that that Mint closed officially?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, that's an Intuit product, or it was. They just closed it. They just end of life the product.
That was the one that was
a month or two
it was
back.
like a savings one, right?
Well, I used it back in the day. It's a good budgeting.
Oh, it's the budgeting
kind of thing.
one. Okay.
Yeah, so it would categorize your expenses and everything like that, and then it would group them, and you could use it to kind of gauge your budget and help see where your money's at and the different income sources. So it was a good tool. I hadn't logged into it in forever, but I bet that was a big shot when it went away.
Yeah.
I mean, it was free, so I don't know. I guess it just wasn't making enough money, or I don't know what the reasons were, but
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention that I use TurboTax as my tax situation. So, and since I bank with Fidelity has a discount code for TurboTax. So,
oh, sweet.
Another reason to bank with Fidelity. There's a ton of reasons to bank with Fidelity, but
I think Etsy has some TurboTax incentives too.
Yeah, but I don't know if Etsy is a very good liar when it comes to like.
I don't know if it's like a sign-on bonus. You got to use a referral code.
Well, and
you can't
also,
already have a TurboTax ID or account or something like that.
and also they'll like sign you up with the shittiest version. It's like Etsy like partnered with QuickBooks, and they like made QuickBooks Self-Employed, and QuickBooks Self-Employed was garbage. It was awful. Like you couldn't even figure out your sales taxes. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You were kind of saying it was very limited. It was
super limited.
You wouldn't want to have a reliable like professional business on there because it would be too risky.
Yeah, QuickBooks
You kind of want like a hobby or
high
something,
school
but
business.
not.
That's what.
Oh,
it was.
Really?
Yeah, it felt like it should be like a high school business situation where you're not actually paying taxes, but you need to like keep track, like
you're not breaking even.
Yeah.
But you want to treat it like it's a pet project.
It's
or
like
something.
a hobby, so you just want to know how much you made. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of options out there. All right, what are we talking about for the new announcement from L&L?
Well, like you guys have already heard, because I think we've already talked about it. I think we'll talk about it in Heidi's. But L&L just came out with a kiln that is a test kiln that is very tiny, and it's twice the size as the other kiln that I have that rhymes with buyer ox, and it's so here's the deal. I'm gonna take the lead on this because Ryan's coughing his lungs out, but here, and also because I'm the most excited about it.
I'm looking at it on the website.
It's called the Plug-in Fire, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm doing this without any notes. Are you ready for this? It's called the Plug-in Fire. It is 8x8x9 on the inside. It has the hard element channel holding thingies, which of course they will. Now, I talked to Dimitri about this. I don't know if they're going to do this or not, but they were considering putting in a recessed thermocouple, which would be the coolest thing in the whole world. It would be such a space saver. It has...
Yeah, why do you want that? Is it just space?
Yeah, because you
mentioned something else.
Because it's really hard not to... Oh, and yeah, and if you're moving... Like me, I'm going to be moving around. And, like, I don't want to break it. And the thing about it being recessed is that it's got to be on temp. But what's great about that is that it's got a Genesis controller, which the Grut kiln does not have a Genesis controller. It has a 3-button controller, and so that means that you can literally program it however you want. Not only does it have a Genesis controller, but the control box is separate from the kiln. It has some cords that it has cords that come from the back of the kiln to the control box, and you can actually unplug those cords if you need to move it or if you need to do anything. So I plan on putting the control box into the kiln while I travel, and then I can just re-plug it in whenever I go. It goes to cone 10. I should have said that at the beginning, but it's a L&L kiln, so it always goes to cone 10 because they're the shit. And it's going to come with 2 7x7-inch shelves, and then I think 3 sets of 4-inch.
It says includes 1 7x7 by 3/8-inch shelf and 3 4-inch posts.
3 4-inch posts. And so, which really, with kilns this small, you're basically using the floor as a shelf anyway, so you don't never need a shelf on the bottom. I think Dimitri said that it got to cone 10 in 5 hours empty. So I imagine with stuff it'll get a little bit faster. But nobody's actually going to cone 10 in this kiln, I imagine. So, yes. Anyway.
It's a standard 15 amp circuit and draws only 12.5 amps. 12.5
amps, which is insane. That means it won't trip anything. Now, my kiln, like if you plug it into an extension cord, it will trip the breaker because it can't like handle it. So, so having it be 12.5 amps instead of 15 is like, hi, Emily. We are, but it's fine. Having a 12.5 instead of a 15 is like really great. I talked to Steve. That's his name, right?
Steve, yeah.
Steve. And he was saying that was really important so that you could literally run it on any house plug. So if you have an apartment, if you have a small house, doesn't matter. If you move a lot, and you can't put a kiln anywhere, this is literally the best kiln you could buy. Like, it's so in reference. So I will say Scott now. Scott has the 619 is I think it takes the T plug. So you do have to have like a special plug for it, but you could put it in your house. But it's an octagon shape and it's awful. This is square, so it actually holds 4 mugs, and it'll hold. If you have, you could put 8 4-inch mugs in there, which is insane to me. That you can plug it into the fucking wall and put 8 mugs in it. Are you kidding me? Like, shut up. Shut up. Well, the handles would have to be small, but you could for sure put 6 in. So. Anyway, to say that I'm excited would be an understatement. It's going to be $1,600, I think.
$1,685 is the list price.
$1,685
the website
is the list price on the website. Now, you might think that that's expensive, but 1, inflation. 2, the one that I have that I bought it for $900. It's now $1,000, but it only has a 3-button controller and it's half the size. So keep that in mind. So, and this one draws less power than that one does. It's fucking wild, guys.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yep.
If I haven't sold it to you by now, I don't know.
It's
You're
yeah, and I want to say Steve was talking I think this is everything together. It's 77 pounds, but I think he said that if you just picked it up, just the box, but without the other stuff, I think it's like 50 pounds.
Yeah. So it's like
which
a box of clay.
Which is the size of a box of clay.
Yeah. Like, unbelievable. I'm so freaking excited about this. Like, I can't. It's just. So anyway, me and Ryan are actually getting one.
Yeah, we'll get one soon.
We're gonna be able to test it out and tell you guys how it goes. So,
so that's the Plug and Fire.
Plug and Fire.
And you can find all this information on
hotkilns.com.
It's under the pottery kilns, hotkilns.com, kilns, Plug and Fire.
Yep.
So.
And it literally just came onto their website on April 2nd. Or April 1st.
Yeah.
So
it's under the craft test kilns.
Like Deanna found out about it and she was like, I'm gonna order this right now. And so she called like 3 different suppliers and they're like, we literally got the email this morning. Can you give us some time? Like
That's
So
funny.
anyway,
And
but by
and
the
the
time
thing
you hear
is,
this,
like,
it'll be fine.
you were at Ensika, and y'all were like talking about stuff. They were talking about handles and
They
peepholes
already
and stuff
fixed
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
And the list image has a handle on it, and it's
Yeah.
like that was a peephole before.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, before
yeah.
we had talked about, because they had a peephole, and I was like, you don't need a peephole. It's the kiln's tiny. Like at that point, you're just wasting like insulation. Oh, and you know what's kind of cool about this kiln is that if you lift up the lid, I don't know all the details about this because I forgot to ask him about it, but if you lift up the lid, it actually turns off the elements. So like if you were in an apartment or something and
It says door safety switch shuts
Yeah.
off power to the elements when the door is open.
yeah. So it literally can't be on when it's open. So that's a really interesting feature. I am going to be honest, I don't know if I like it or I hate it. I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I wonder if a lot of people prop lids and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how much that actually does, but
Yeah.
you're not using this for bisque firing. It's like you're probably not bisquing in there.
Oh, I'm fucking biscuing in it. I'm biscuing in it because you know why?
Well, the whole thing about like propping during bisquing, I don't think
Oh.
I think Matt and Rose from For Flux's Sake have talked about this. It doesn't really do anything because it's not like kilns are airtight anyways. Like stuff is escaping.
They've quite
little
literally.
bitty crevices.
You know what? That just tells me that Matt's never bisque fired something with 45 completely wet mugs in it. So you know what? There's
Like it'll find its way out is essentially what
I
they're
know,
saying.
but
Like,
he has clearly never had a kiln that's dripping water on the lid. Like opening up the lid really does make a difference when when everything inside of it is sopping wet.
okay, that's a rare case that's going to be
I don't
done,
know. I mean,
but-
that was a pretty common case in my life. Anyway.
All right. Check
Yes.
that out on hotkilns.com.
It's going to be great, guys. Great.
Whew.
I'm so fucking stoked.
Yeah.
Do you know
All
what
right,
I'm the
do you wanna
most
get to what we're
excited
talking about?
Do you know what I'm the most excited about this, by the way? He's like annoyed with me
Yeah.
already. Is
No, I'm like,
Is
go for it.
that
You're so
I'll-
excited about it. I can't hold you back. Go ahead.
I will finally, not only will I finally own an L&L kiln, but I'll finally not own a Scott. Keep
But
in
you
mind,
didn't have. I mean, I guess you had your firebox. Have you always had your firebox since you've had your other one? Your
no, I
Kolar?
haven't. I like Scott. I want to make something very, very clear. Scott, as a company, fantastic. They're a great company. Most of the companies are great companies. I'm not a huge fan of their kilns right now, probably because I had to fix a lot of them. But yes, their customer service is on point. Scott's. So I would like to say that I'm not a Scott hater. Their customer service is phenomenal. So everybody has their high points, okay? But it just feels weird to me to be sponsored by L&L and not have an L&L. I guess that's the biggest thing, you know.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
yeah,
I'm a fan.
yeah,
I gotta change my elements out soon.
yeah.
So
I'm
I'm not looking forward to it, but I mean, if any kiln that I've got, I mean, I'm gonna look the most forward to changing them on this one because I know it's easier, it's quicker,
for sure.
less pain.
For shizzle. Okay, now that we're at an hour, when are we stopping? Would you like to put a time at when you'd like to stop?
I want to say an hour and 45 max.
Oh,
I don't even think we're gonna get that far.
I would
but
like to stop at like 9:10. How about that?
Oh, that's 30 minutes. All right, we'll see.
9:15? Okay, great.
Okay, well, let's get to it.
Okay.
All right, so the topic of the day is talking about pre-orders. So this can go many different ways. It could just go pros and cons of pre-orders. It could go we'll just keep it generic to pre-orders in general, but um, yeah. Okay, here's a good starting question. Do you have success stories, failure stories about pre-orders?
Um. Okay.
You're doing a pre-order now too,
I'm
so
doing a pre-order right now. I feel like I haven't had any like failure stories about pre-orders as far as like the one that I think about in my head the most is getting a bunch of orders and then not being able to fulfill them.
yeah, like something fucks up with a
Right.
glaze or something that
Yeah.
you're trying to you expected to come out and it was an anomaly or something.
Yeah, so I haven't had very many failures, I would say. I have done a few pre-orders. One of them being that like shitty cup pre-order I did last year. Um, and that was a huge success. And then I would say that, well, I mean, all of my flash sales back in the day were pre-orders, and um, I did a Domino pre-order this last, like 2 weeks ago. And I feel like I'm a fan of pre-orders right now just because for the main reason of I don't want to put in I want to put in effort, but I don't want to put in a ton of effort if nobody's going to buy anything. So I'd rather just say like, hey, I'll make this in 6 weeks, but I need to know that you want it, essentially, you know? So, whereas a drop is exactly the opposite. So, and obviously a drop, there's a lot of great things about that, like you're already done with it. But
yeah, the only official pre-order that I can think of that I did, because generally I'm pretty risk averse with most things, but when it comes to my time commitments, I don't want to overpromise a bunch and not have the time to fulfill it. So that's generally why I've been reluctant with pre-orders. The main one that I did was a oil bottle pre-order with carved oil bottles, and it wasn't. I wouldn't say exactly it was a made to order. It was more glazed to order.
yeah.
I'd already had. I think I offered 3 different color underglazes, and then I offered 2 different glaze colors on that underglaze color. So it was a clear version and a white glaze version over top of teal, orange, and yellow. And then I had those 6 available, pre-order on my website, and then you kind of build up the hype and you do the advertising, all that good stuff. You show it off, you open the window, you hope sales come in, and then you close it at a certain point, or maybe you leave it open as you fulfill them and kind of let them come in organically if they find out about it later. I would say that was underwhelming with the sales, but I think that was more about the marketing, and I just don't think I, I just don't think my work is sell out in demand enough. You know, my work has never been that with the customers that purchase it. So I think you have to have a sense of that in a way for something that you're making.
Right.
But maybe you don't. I mean, maybe a pre-order is fine if you sell 6 of something. I think the pre-order I ended up it wasn't zeros, but you know, I might have sold 6 or 8 bottles
Right.
from that.
I mean, like, I sold 6 orders for the pre-order. No, 7. Is it 7? 7 for my Domino pre-order, and I felt really okay with that. And I think that that's just because the Dominoes are a lot of work, you know? I think that something that's a ton of work that you don't know for sure is ever, like, you've never sold it before, I think that's a perfect time to do a pre-order, you know? Because, like, yeah, like, I had no idea if somebody was going to buy a Domino set, you know? I knew Chris Birch was, but that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I think on the flip side, I would almost say I would not. Well, I wouldn't want it. I think not from the sense of will somebody buy it, because I would be more likely to do a pre-order on something I'm very confident somebody would buy. They've proven that people want it.
Yeah.
And it has data behind it that it's worth doing a pre-order. That's the way that I would determine what's pre-orderable or not, for me. And then also because I want to make sure that the quality will remain for everybody that's getting a pre-ordered item, I would almost want a track record of making a big number of them in the past so that I know that I can handle
Yeah, that's fair.
the volume. Because like the dominoes, you said, if I don't know if they're going to sell, but also like how are you going to feel if you would have got 20 orders of it? I'm sure you would have been good with the money, but would you have felt like, is there issues that you didn't find out about until you make hundreds of dominoes?
Well, who's to say that you can't cap a pre-order? You know?
You can, right?
I mean, like, I think that's, like, if it started getting to a point where I was like, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, I probably would have just, like, turned it off. I'm like, we're done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in one way, it's hard to turn down those sales when they're ready to pay you.
But those sales are going
like,
to be there at the end.
Within your...
Like, the next time you do it, they'll probably be there, you know?
Right. Yeah, it wasn't an anomaly unless you had some post about the pre-order and it went viral, and then there's everybody banging down your door to get it, and the Venn diagram of when you post it available and when it reaches virality and people just want it in that moment. Like,
right.
That's a rare case, but
super rare.
That's
and at that point you just bump up the time, I think, too. You know? The
delivery time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to open these back up, but the delivery time's going to be later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't want to necessarily turn down the money if it's available and you have time on your schedule to account for it.
Yeah. I have just the right amount. Like, I think I have to make like 600 dominoes, which is a lot. And
yeah, that's a lot.
But I have a month to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so with the oil bottle thing, it wasn't stressful for me, which I think is what I was hoping for. But I would have liked a little, like, I felt like I could have just posted those as a restocked item, and they probably would have sold eventually. And I almost feel like I was hyping myself up as I was advertising it, hoping for those results, and I'd put the work in up front with marketing it. And then when you get underwhelming results, you feel like, oh, maybe I was thinking people wanted this more than they actually did. But you know, I think I had a goal for myself to have a pre-order of something. So it was nice to go through those steps of being prepared, having a plan, having a date in mind, doing the work to talk it up. And like, I even created a thing for my my email list for it, where typically I would just, if I was doing an update, I would just pick pieces out that I have ready and then put them online and not really have a big, like, I'm not making stock for a month and then it's like a series of work just for that restock. I don't really make work like that. So
yeah,
you know, in a way it felt a little more planned out and thought through, which probably good. I feel like from a customer perspective, it builds that anticipation and gives you a sense of enjoyment along the way when you do finally receive it. But yeah, I would do it again. It would just be, I'm definitely going to be more very selective of what I would choose to pre-order, though.
For sure. I think that it goes both ways. I think that it goes both ways. Like, if you're not super familiar with something, it's great to do like a limited run pre-order where you have like a cap on the amount of pieces that you're doing. But if you are super familiar, it's great to do one that's like, boom, let's go. You know?
Yeah. Do you at all do you feel like you have to make sure that those pieces are extra perfect almost because it's pre-ordered, because the money's already in your pocket? Do you handle it? Are you motivated differently? Are you approaching the making differently because you know it's already paid for?
I think that whenever I try to sell something online, or like, even if I sell like something that I already have in stock online, I make sure it's like extra good. So yes.
Yeah, you
But-
want to, because you know that there are cases where people
Yeah.
can complain about the smallest thing, that you almost try to like slide by them, but you are also like, I wouldn't consider that a flaw, but somebody does.
Yeah, like there's
And
definitely different standards for online versus like a show, because people are picking it up, and they might love that little nick that happened in something,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like when you get it online, they might not.
Right. Do you, the I'm thinking back to the. Have you ever bought anything from a pre-order?
I want to say yes, but it wasn't a ceramic one. It was like a cloth calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was still handmade.
Yeah, it was
but
still handmade,
It
but
wasn't. It wasn't like production. It wasn't like a printing press or something like that printed it out. It was just a.
It was like a
somebody
printer.
actually made it.
Yeah.
And it.
They like hand printed it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I bought something once from a pre-order. I'm not going to name the product or the name, but
I already
It
know
felt-
who it is.
yeah, you know who it is. It goes back to the online selling versus the in-person, or online buying versus in-person buying. You know exactly what you're gonna get because you're holding it in your hand. You know 360 degrees of what you're looking at. And I felt like the pre-ordered item did not meet the ideal vision that I'd seen and expected from the marketing that was done online and the product listing itself. One of those things where you show the ideal view of the piece and maybe you share little bits and pieces that you can get a little bit better view of it. Maybe so an item, for instance, is held and it's circled around the outside, so you feel like you're pretty confident, like, okay, I got a sense of what this looks like. But one example, they don't show the inside, they don't show what the bottom looks like.
Yeah.
So some of those things that, especially as a maker, I'm very aware of, because I think the whole piece can make and break the piece. Just like the glaze can ruin something at the end of the process, the bottom can ruin something if it's overlooked. And I think just being as like putting that effort and attention to the craftsmanship in a piece that is pre-ordered, I think is more important. Like you're talking about, like being extra careful to make sure that it's well done. And you don't feel like you're being like, is this truly what I paid for, or was this an anomaly and I just got the short end straw this time?
Right. It needs to live up to the hype, essentially, is what's happening.
Yeah. So that was the only pre-order example that I'd had. And then it makes me like, I wish I wouldn't have spent that money on it, or and then I feel weird talking to the seller about it, because am I coming across as, oh, well, like I'm telling you what you should be doing? Like, it's hard to, especially as a potter, and if it's pottery, it's hard to separate those two experiences of saying, I'm talking to you as a customer here because I purchased your product, and that's what I expect and that's what I'm looking for. And maybe I do have a different standard as a customer because I'm also a potter. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. I can't set aside the bias of one. they're going to influence one another, but I feel like I should still be heard, and in other circumstances from that seller, I had not felt heard in the past, so
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was worth bringing up. And I mean, at the end of the day, it basically means I'm just not going to buy from them again. But
Right. You mean
yeah.
you don't want to buy a little penis drawer set? Sorry, I just gave it away. But we all knew who you were talking about anyway.
Nobody knew who I was talking about.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Everybody knew.
Nope.
Yep.
Nobody knew. So, what else? You distracted me. Are there specific types of items that you would be more likely to pre-order, or like in your future that you're thinking about, like, this might be something I'm considering?
Honestly, I kind of like the idea of pre-ordering for most of my stuff, just because of the way that my life works. I like.
Well, yeah, it's total like
it totally works
ideal
so
that
much
you
better for what
the
I'm
least
doing.
amount of time it's sitting on a shelf or in a bin.
Yeah.
And it's on its way from your studio to the buyer as quickly as possible. That's perfect for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I totally understand doing, like, the drops and how great those are, or going to shows and stuff like that, but I just don't have the space. And if I know how much space I'm going to need, that's just really ideal,
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you taking, would you ever, this might be, would you take a domino set to a show?
I want to, but I want to get an extra domino set. Like, I'd like to. I think that they would sell.
I think it would be amazing. I think it would, and maybe you do that as, like, you have samples of the different options, and then they can pre-order it
That would
on
be a
site.
good
They
idea.
can pay you for it, and then you can ship it when it's done.
Yeah. I don't think...
So you're taking pre-orders live.
Yeah, and I think that making a 28 set of dominoes is a piece of cake. The bummer sets, or the pieces that are a little bit harder, are the 91 sets.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
I wouldn't expect most people are going to be willing to spend for the 91 set at a show.
Right. Me neither. But I think
I think if they can see and feel
yeah,
the individual dominoes, they would be likely to buy a 28-piece set.
I agree. I think that, yeah, like, I definitely think... It's funny. Okay, sidetrack here. So Andrew, not stationary Andrew, that's Washington Andrew. He is like he loves.
You've never called him stationary Andrew.
I haven't called him stationary Andrew to you, but everybody here knows him as stationary Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Because he sells stationery.
Greeting card Andrew.
What?
Yeah. Greeting card Andrew.
Greeting card,
Andrew
yeah.
Figler.
But what's funny about stationary Andrew is that he's actually not stationary because he's a flight attendant. But Heidi came up with the name.
That's why I was thinking the word stationary
Yeah.
when you said that, and I was like, but he's not.
Heidi was saying that Heidi came up with the name, so it's hilarious. Anyway, stationary Andrew was like, I want a domino set, but I want double 16s or like double 18s or something like that. And I was like, I don't even think that exists. And I was like, I'm not fucking making you that set. That's ridiculous. And then it took him about 6 months to realize that he was actually talking about a double 12 set.
Oh, a double 12 set.
Yeah.
Which is the 91,
91.
or...
And I was like, yeah, I can make
91.
you a 91 set. That's totally fine. So I'm making him one
Were you
for his
gonna make-
birthday.
Were you going to make that Mexican train add-on thing?
Oh, yeah, he actually bought me a cookie cutter for it.
Oh, okay. For clay.
Yeah.
I was thinking I would assume it would be easy to just get one laser cut out of wood, but
Yeah.
it would be cool in clay. And then, are you going to put like the little clay bits and stuff on it? And...
Well, I'll make it for him, but not for anybody else right now. I'm figuring that out.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I think that I would probably not.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
it
can
wouldn't be a
talk-
train. It would be like a cone with a color.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, I could see people, especially when they can feel it. I mean, it would kind of suck because you'd almost have to have. I mean, maybe you wouldn't. I was assuming you'd have to have like a white set, a black set, a white confetti set, and a black confetti set. But maybe you don't really need all four because people would be drawn to buy
Right.
whichever you have available.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I'd probably only sell the white set because it's a lot smoother. Well, I don't know. The black set's really cool.
I just think the confetti is totally worth it.
Yeah. The confetti,
I mean, it's also not
honestly, the confetti
priced
should
differently,
be
so I'm
much
like,
more money.
yeah, I don't know why it wasn't.
I don't
That was
know
part of the reason
either.
that I was like, I want the confetti one because it's the exact same price and it's more color. So like, I'm gonna get that one.
I don't know why either, but it is what it is, what it is, what it is. So that's where we're at. So, yeah.
I think that'd be a fun way to just get those pre-orders as you're on the road and extra cash in your pocket from the shows, and then you've got your marching orders for what you need to do when you leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you? We kind of mentioned this a little bit that you're paid for it. You're working toward it. Do you enjoy that plan of attack of like you've got work to be done and
I do.
it gives you a sense of accomplishment and
or like
you don't have to guess and you don't have to wonder if this thing's going to sell or not. It's guaranteed that it's already sold, so you're working toward it, and that's a mental shift.
I like it because it gives me purpose. Yeah. For sure.
Do you think you would feel the same way if it was multiple years back? The same, or is it your skill set and your experience give you that confidence and that ability to say like, okay, this works for me, it does give me purpose, whereas you might be like driving your own ship by just choosing to make whatever you want to make and you're not making for someone else's order?
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that, like, for me, if I do a pre-order and they have they've already set the thing, that means I have to get it done. There's no question. There is a timeline, and it's, like, done. It has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how my body needs to function.
And you set the timeline yourself.
Yeah.
So you've come to a educated, I want to say guess, but an educated decision of what you're able to do and flex it with your schedule and
Yeah.
keeps you going into the studio regularly, whereas you might be more likely to slack off a day or something like that if you're working toward an update but you don't have a date in mind maybe.
Right.
What do you think I would like pre-order? Do you think there's anything
I was just going to
that...
ask you that. I was just going to ask you, like, what you think you'd want to pre-order.
The only thing that's coming to mind right now that is very fresh is the cocktail glasses, just because I've only made a few of them, but I honestly don't know the market for them yet.
Do you know what I think you should do?
What?
I'm interrupting you because I don't think it should be the cocktail glasses. I think you should do a soda fire pre-order. I think that you should do one of your regular shapes of mugs and make that a soda fire pre-order. So they're all different.
So basically a artist choice.
Yeah. That would be a lot more interesting, I feel like.
So a mug, soda fired. I mean, I'm still... I mean, you know how cautious I am about stuff, but I'm still building the confidence with the soda firing.
I know.
And also the pricing for those items. And just the chance that shit can happen. But I do like the idea of it being an artist's choice.
Yeah, because that gives you a lot more lenience. Oops.
Yeah. And it would be fun to just put a whole shelf full of mugs. and just see what happens. Like, do some experiments with them. I'm still gleaning the experience of what's the kiln doing, what are the glazes doing, and then they're already promised to homes. I like that idea. There is some issues with, some of the glaze running and grinding, and if people are okay with that, but I mean, that's kind of what they run the risk of, I guess.
That's just the soda fire experience.
Yeah. And also, like, the only other thing about the soda firing that I've told you about, and I'm like getting more comfortable with it, but it's going to take time, is the willingness to part ways with those pieces.
You can't keep
because
everything,
it's so
Ryan.
fresh. Yeah, it's so fresh for me, and I'm like, oh, but I need them for like experiments so I can see what the different colors look like, and I can remember like, okay, this is where I put it, and this is what it looks. But that's what photos are for and videos are for. So like, but there's a mug in here that was like the best mug out of the last one, and Josh Heim was here, or he wasn't here for it. He saw the video and he was like, if you haven't sold that mug, I'd like to claim that mug, and I still have it on my shelf. I haven't reached back out to him to like get payment and ship it to him, because I'm like, And the thing is, some of those things I want to reproduce it or get something close to it that can take its place, and then I'm fine with parting ways with it. But once it's a one-off, I feel like I have to feel like I understand how to reproduce it before I'm fine with selling it.
You're a sentimental soul. That's the Durban in you.
I mean, the pots are still my babies. It's just, and I'm more involved with the process of it, so it's, yeah. What about doing that with the oil bottles in soda? Would that be?
I think that'd be amazing.
Is that a little too?
That too. Yeah.
Okay.
I think even a spoon rest soda fire thing would be fun.
The thing with the spoon rest is it's tougher to
Yeah.
It's tougher to soda fire because it warps.
Yeah.
And you would take a lot of shelf space to put spoon rests.
That's a good point.
And I don't like. Do you want a spoon rest that's not really flat, and also it's gonna be it might be a crusty or something, like, I don't know. But I think the oil bottle is a cool idea. I don't know that like shot glasses necessarily. I could fill a shelf with shot glasses, but I don't think those would be as sellable, honestly. I kind of like the idea of us maybe do some small mugs first. And I'm actually planning on doing a soda fire at the end of April in my kiln by myself. Maybe Eric will be here, but with just my work. So
we gotta plan one for I wanna do one with you. So we'll plan that
when you're
probably maybe not July, August, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah, we can plan for something like that. I'm gonna start. So my initial plan is go to Isaac's, get some experimenting done, do 2 firings at his place, come back home, get my own firing done with more knowledge, more experience, and then open the next one up to a larger group, which is my email list of people for the soda firings that I was gonna have people pay to be at, and then do more from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that idea. Do you say that because they're so unique of items, or?
Yeah, I really think
versus buying a reproducible item that I can just make and
and also they're like something you're really into right now. I think it has to be something that you're really excited about too. I think that was the best thing about the dominoes, is that I was so excited about the dominoes that if I hadn't sold any of them, I would have been like, oh, that's fine.
I feel like I get to keep them all.
Yeah, like, who cares?
I'm going to do this firing regardless, and I'm going to find out a bunch of knowledge from it. Yeah. So, like, I don't really care how much they sell or don't sell or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is, I'm also figuring out whether people want them or not. But also, I got to put my stuff out there enough to know whether give them the option to want them or not.
Well, yeah, but also like I think for pre-orders too, you have so many potters that follow you. A soda pre-order is the perfect thing.
Okay. And I feel like it could be totally manageable. It could be, you know, maybe I put 12 mugs in there, but I do a pre-order for 8 of them or something like that,
exactly.
so that there's a room for issues to happen.
Yeah.
And then I can sell any excess or, you know, refund something if it doesn't turn out, or similar with the oil bottles. I can do the same thing, just kind of
it's like a mystery box pre-order.
Plan for it. Yeah. Oh, there was one other pre-order that I did in the past that I feel like wasn't as exciting. I did that mug pre-order. I feel like I told you about this. The pre-order with the beachy glaze, but it also had blue on it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Where I did the this versus that?
Yeah.
This or that? It was like a voting situation. People voted on one or the other. And they voted between 2 brand new glaze combos. And then the winner, I opened for pre-order. And it was basically glaze to order.
Yeah.
So I think I opened it, made it available, made the delivery 7 to 10 days, and I think I might have sold 6 of those or something.
Yeah.
But, I had this idea that was going to be a series. I was going to do a this or that, and I was going to do it every couple months or once a quarter, and then I was going to have it was going to push me to experiment with new glaze combos and figure out what people wanted. But then it's like, okay, you get votes for what people want, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to buy that thing.
Right.
So, I don't know. Then again, I mean, you post something up for an update, and there's no guarantee it's going to sell. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's expected for me to put something up, and it's just going to sit, and it'll sell within, you know, a few months or whatever.
Dude,
and
you're
if it doesn't,
an
I can
in-person seller.
use it for.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And if it doesn't sell, I can take it off my shelf, and I can take it to a wholesaler, and or take it to a show or whatever, and it's just extra stock I can put elsewhere that makes sense. Okay. I like that idea. Maybe I'll do that. The Soda Fire pre-order.
Do it. Let's see how it goes.
I feel like if I don't do it, otherwise I'm not going to get rid of those pieces.
Probably.
Why did you say not this cocktail glasses? Do you think there's not enough market for it?
I don't think there's not enough market. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's also kind of safe, though. It's just a cup that's carved.
Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking. It's just a carved cup.
You know.
Kind of like, you know, if it was a slip cast cup that was carved.
Right.
Those pieces that I've collabed with, those aren't as sellable either. It's just a simple cup. People know what to expect.
You've been doing carved cups, the same carved cups for like 2 years now. You gotta get some new shit in there, okay? You gotta improve somehow.
I started doing the texture with the. Have you seen the oil bottles that I do that use the mud tools texture, and then I carve them so it's not sgraffito, but it's got the carved with the texture with a standard glaze. So I don't know. I'm like removing a layer, but it's not that much different, but
yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Look at us at 9:15.
Yeah, you're gonna kick us off here.
Well, we've talked about a lot of it.
I get it. I
really have to pee. I'm so sorry.
I think we hit a lot of it anyway, so.
We did.
Alrighty. Yeah, good luck with your pre-orders out there.
Yeah. Dude. Let us know how it goes.
Is there an ideal time that you think in the year that it makes sense, or more than others, or is it just
I have no
completely
idea.
Based on the hype?
No idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think people just have to have enough urgency to like really want that thing. Like it has to be unique enough. But I don't know, like, you know, Kurt does those pre-orders for the same item. It's the same glaze.
Yeah, but Kurt
he
has
so
like
many
a
combos.
bajillion followers. Like, you can't compare us to Kurt.
I think he also has so many glazes that you know that if you don't, he's gonna have like one of that color in a restock,
Yeah.
and if you don't get it, it's gonna be gone.
Right.
So that urgency is like, okay, this guarantees I'm gonna get one.
Yeah.
So like, I like this enough that I'm gonna get it right now.
Yeah.
But alrighty.
All right.
Any last words, Becca? Besides, you've got to pee.
Ladies and gentlemen, take my advice. Pull down your pants and slide on the ice.
All right. With that, all that ice is going to melt soon.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Oh, my God.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Wheel Talk Podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.